Tonight, we dive into 10 albums haunted by misfortune. From mysterious disappearances to deadly accidents, bizarre obsessions, and real-life horrors. Welcome to the world of the cursed albums. 10. The Mars Volta, The Bedlam in Goliath, 2008, USA. After a tour in Jerusalem, Omar Rodriguez Lopez bought an ancient Ouija-like board for the band, named the Soothsayer. It quickly became a ritual after every show, but the more they interacted with it, the stranger things became. Audio tracks disappeared, the studio flooded, the drummer quit mid-tour and injuries plagued the band, engineer collapses, mysterious voices, unexplained accidents, all seemed connected to the board. In desperation, Omar broke it in half and buried it. 9. Jim Sullivan, UFO, 1969, USA. A folk rock album about aliens, recorded by a talented but troubled musician. Jim Sullivan disappeared mysteriously in 1975 in the New Mexico desert. His car, guitar, and belongings were found, but he was never seen again. UFO became a prophetic artifact, as if the music itself foretold his vanishing. Number 8. Roky Erickson, The Evil One, 1981, USA. Roky Erickson wasn't just singing about demons, he was living with them. After being institutionalized in a psychiatric hospital, subjected to electroshock therapy, and battling years of paranoia, Roky returned with an album that felt like a transmission from another dimension. The Evil One is packed with songs about the devil, aliens, and cosmic horrors, all delivered with the raw power of a man who genuinely believed he was being watched by supernatural forces. Fans still say listening to it feels like stepping into the mind of someone on the edge of reality. The sessions were chaotic, unpredictable, and the result is one of the most unsettling cult records ever made. 7. Fela Kuti, Zombie, 1977, Nigeria. A politically charged album mocking the Nigerian military. Its release sparked one of the most violent attacks on a musician. Soldiers stormed Fela's compound, destroyed instruments, burned recordings, and mortally wounded his mother. The album survived, but the cost of recording it was almost humanly unimaginable. 6. David Bowie, Station to Station, 1976, USA/Germany. Bowie recorded at the height of his cocaine addiction, surviving on drugs, milk, and chili peppers. He dabbled in the occult, attempted to hire an exorcist, and even stored his urine in the fridge to protect it from witches. By the end of the sessions, he barely remembered the process, leaving a surreal, haunted aura around the album. 5. Sleep, Dopesmoker, 1999, USA. A single track lasting nearly an hour, this album became legendary not just for its sound, but for the chaos behind it. The budget was blown on drugs and amps. Rumors claim the master tape was delivered inside a human skull, a true testament to doom and stoner metal's mythic madness. 4. Paul McCartney and Wings, Band on the Run, 1973, Nigeria. Recording in Lagos, McCartney and his band faced theft, missing demos, and a studio ill-equipped for their ambitions. Paul had to reconstruct the entire album from memory, under pressure and near collapse. The resulting record became one of Wings' greatest successes, born from literal disaster. 3. Iggy Pop, The Idiot, 1977, Germany. Recorded with David Bowie in Berlin, this album became associated with one of music's darkest tragedies. Ian Curtis of Joy Division committed suicide listening to The Idiot, forever linking the album to a sense of doom and despair. 2. The Beach Boys, Smile, 1966, USA. The project that was supposed to be the pinnacle of the Beach Boys' career turned into a slow burning nightmare. Brian Wilson locked himself in the studio, spiraling into paranoia, isolation, and terrifying hallucinations. He claimed to hear voices, angels and demons whispering from the walls. What began as musical ambition became a descent into madness. The album was shelved for decades, surrounded by a ghostly reputation. Even today, the curse of Smile still echoes through music history. 1. Graham Parsons, Grievous Angel, Flying Burrito Brothers, 1973, USA. In 1973, Graham Parsons died in a motel room in Joshua Tree, California, from an overdose of alcohol and morphine. But that was only the beginning of the story. Before he died, Graham had made a promise to his friend and road manager, Phil Kaufman. He didn't want a traditional funeral. He wanted to be cremated in the desert he loved and have his ashes scattered there. When the family planned a classic burial, Kaufman and a friend decided to keep their promise. They stole Graham's coffin from the Los Angeles airport, drove it deep into Joshua Tree, and set it on fire. The police showed up. But there was a catch. At the time, stealing a body wasn't technically a crime. They were only charged with stealing the coffin. Graham Parsons was later buried in New Orleans. But the story of his desert funeral became one of rock's strangest legends. As I was finishing the editing of this video, I noticed something strange. These albums were connected in ways I hadn't realized. Paul McCartney fled to Lagos and crossed paths with Fela Kuti, who accused him of stealing African grooves, a tension that echoes in the global soundscape even decades later. The Bedlam and Goliath by the Mars Volta connects visually and spiritually to Sleep's Dopesmoker, the desert, the ritual, the mystical imagery, as if certain symbols were destined to resurface across albums and generations. The deserts that swallowed Jim Sullivan are mirrored in the tragic mythology of Graham Parsons, their landscapes becoming stages for disappearance, obsession, and legend. David Bowie and Iggy Pop share Berlin and the same creative pulse. 2 albums, different artists, breathing the same electrifying air. And then there's Roky Erickson, not a fracture, but a kind of portal. His haunted visions and feverish sound bridge the mystical and the monstrous, connecting the spiritual deserts of the other records to something darker and more internal. Madness as both a curse and a key. These albums form a labyrinth, not a straight line. A sonic, historical, and symbolic maze. When you start to trace these threads, music stops being just sound and becomes a secret language.